Hiya, and welcome to this month's Get to Know Our Staff interview. This month, we're interviewing David Lucas, who is our Deputy Service Manager at Accrington. I'm Nina Cole. I'm a Service User Rep based at Accrington for Inspire East Lancs. Will, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Will Daw, and I'm a peer mentor at Inspire Burnley.
And David, do you want to introduce yourself, please?
Hi everybody, I'm David Lucas. I'm the Deputy Services Manager for East Lancashire Inspire.
Thank you. So we've got quite a few questions for you, David. First of all, we want to find out about your job. So, David Lucas, the Deputy Service Manager, what do you do? What is your job?
Good question. I don't know. No, I'm joking. I'm very fortunate in my job that I get the opportunity to do quite a lot of things, quite flexible in what I do. In a nutshell, I'll come on to the flexible things in a little while, but in a nutshell, my role predominantly is to obviously deputise for Rachel Taylor when she's not here in terms of leading the service. That's the most obvious part of my job. The other part of my job is to fundamentally ensure that we as a service are providing the best service possible for the people that use it. So what I'm talking about there is the level of support that people get, the right support that people get, the quality support that people get, in terms of what we offer, in terms of the groups that we offer, in terms of the one-to-ones that they offer, the clinical intervention. Not so much the clinical intervention because that's Dr. Goley and Dr. Lane, but very much support the interaction and the psychosocial element to what we do. So my role is to oversee the qualitative aspects of that and seek ways of getting feedback and improving. The flexibility comes whereby I get the wonderful opportunity to, when possible, do some frontline work or go and drop a prescription off for a service user. So it's quite wide ranging. I'm really, really fortunate in that respect that I can dip in and out of quite a few elements. The other boring stuff is the meetings. Some great, some okay. The working with partner agencies and subcontractors with Emerging Futures, the working with commissioners, and also just making sure that staff are looking after themselves and trying to support our service users in managing their own risk-taking behaviour, trying to support people in achieving their goals and their aspirations. So, Deputy Service Manager, I believe I've got the best job, although I'm biased. It's quite flexible. It covers a lot of things, but fundamentally to make sure that we're delivering the best service possible to the people that use it.
Thank you. So what made you want to become a Deputy Service Manager, and especially in drug and alcohol services?
Well, I didn't grow up wanting to be a Deputy Services Manager. When I was growing up, I really didn't know what I wanted to be. I kind of found myself in the building trade in my younger years, and then my life took a different direction into the world of addiction, and for many years, and many years ago, decided when I finally got my life back on track is that I wanted to use that experience to count for something, to give something back, to make it mean something, I suppose. And I began my journey in this line of work as a peer mentor, a volunteer, and just progressed through that way. And some of the best times I've had is working on the front line, and particularly working in rehab and detoxes and just seeing miracles happen on a daily basis. And I kind of knew at that point, probably about 15 years ago, that I wanted to be in a position where I could influence things, not from an egotistical power point of view, but speaking from an individual as a person who used services 20, 25 years ago. And let me tell you, they were very, very different then. I believed in having a voice. I believed in having a say in my treatment. So I wanted to be in a position at some point where I could influence the changes and hear that voice, hear that feedback, so we could make things better. So I progressed through the ranks, if you like, of management, and here I am today. Been doing the deputy services manager job for about 4 years now, and I love it. Absolutely love it. It gets lonely sometimes because obviously sometimes I don't see people I work with, service users. So that's the bit that I miss. I do miss that. But equally, I get a lot of input into how we can do things better.
Excellent.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it does. Thank you. Yeah, it's good to know that you came from where me and Will are to where you are now, and that's a possibility. That's amazing to know that.
Absolutely.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to hand you over to Will to find out a bit more about you, the person.
Brilliant. Thanks, Nina. So, who is David Lucas, the person? So, what are your likes and dislikes about being a deputy service manager?
God, how do I say something that I like something without discounting something else? What I like, what I love, is seeing people get well. I love that. I love seeing people come from, despair and hopelessness and getting well. I love that. I love that about my job.
Brilliant.
What I don't like sometimes about this job is the bureaucracy. The bureaucracy can make things difficult sometimes. Necessary in some cases to keep us safe, and I think it's the bureaucracy around politics and stuff like that, which I won't go into because I don't want to get on my soapbox about it. But
of course.
That's the main area that I dislike about the role. But I love seeing people get well.
Brilliant. Thank you for that. And what hobbies do you have? Maybe there's something that you've picked up during lockdown?
Well, some of you may or may not know that I love golf. Golf is something where it's a challenge of myself, but it's also an equal measure enjoying nature, being out in the countryside, being out in the elements, being out in the sunshine, being out in the rain, just being out, fresh air, and sometimes to play with myself and time on my own, and time to think, reflect, that kind of stuff, and fishing, believe it or not. I like to go fishing for the same reason. Solitude, reflection, and being with nature.
Fantastic. Yeah, I like playing pitch and putt myself. I'm not very good at golf, but I do enjoy a round of pitch and putt. So, have you got any special talents hidden away?
I've been thinking about this. I was going to say golf, but somebody might argue against that. I'm okay. I'm not great, but I can play it okay, I suppose. I think on a personal level, if I was going to say special talents, it would be, I feel that I've got a great ability to read people, not as in like a clairvoyant type thing, but I've got what I consider to be quite good emotional intelligence, and my experience tells me I'm good at that. I'm good at reading people and working with people.
That's fantastic. Great. So I'd just like to ask you a few questions on the service user experience. So what are your biggest challenges in your role?
Good question. I've been thinking about this as well prior to our session. I think for East Lancs in particular, the geography of East Lancs is huge in terms of the far-reaching areas of Whitworth and Ribble Valley, and it's massive. The biggest challenge for us is reaching the people who have not yet accessed our services.
Right.
So there's there's many people out there who maybe don't know about Inspire. They've never been in treatment before. They're debating whether to get support. It's the challenges of trying to reach those people and try and support them and get them into treatment. That's always been a challenge. I think it always will be a challenge. I think the more coverage we try and promote Inspire, and doing stuff like this helps to reach people that little bit further. So we're always trying to look at ways where we can expand our reach to people that need it.
That's absolutely fantastic. So what do you consider to be the biggest success in your role, or successes?
It's going to sound like a cliche, but I said last night on the peer mentor graduation that, coming from my perspective and my background and my history, I feel really passionately and really strongly about the service user voice and the service user involvement. 3 or 4 years ago in East Lancs, we did there was a national survey from the National Service User Lead, and we had two service user responses to the survey. It broke my heart. It wasn't good enough, and I remember in that moment, and I made the solemn promise that would never happen again. Along came Mo. Mo has got to take a lot of credit. I shared my vision with Mo, and my vision was to have a service that's very much led from the front, with service user involvement and service user voice, peer mentors, volunteers. It's taken a lot of hard work, a lot of commitment, a lot of dedication, but that's been a real success for me. And it's not, I'm not going to take any credit for that whatsoever. Just that was my vision, that was my dream. Mo and you guys have implemented that, and I think, well, I know we've come such a long way in the last 3 or 4 years to where we are now, and I'm really proud of that.
Brilliant. Yeah, I can honestly say that peer mentoring side of things is absolutely fantastic, and it was an honour to graduate last night.
Well done.
Thank you. So what are your thoughts on the SU involvement?
I think I'd like to have covered it so far. It's paramount for me. We need to hear the voice of people who use our services. We need to understand what's going well and what isn't going well. We need to be able to change and adapt to the presenting need. Our job is to deliver a service to people that need it, and depending on whatever that is, and it changes all the time, 10, 15 years ago compared to what it is now, the trends are very, very different. It's more alcohol based now, so we have to adapt, and in order to do that we need your input, peer mentor input, volunteer input, service user involvement input. Otherwise we'll stay stuck as a service, and we'll find it difficult to progress and move forward. So we're always listening, always wanting to change and get feedback, always trying to be better. We're not perfect. Never said we'll be perfect, but we'll always try and do the best we can, and we can only do that with your help.
Brilliant, thank you. And finally from me, what would be your ideal vision for the service users, and how far do you think we are from that vision? Honestly,
it's pipe dream for me. I'm probably talking myself out of a job. It's fundamentally my belief is that there's a small part of me that people need specialist support. That I think that'll always be the case, whether it's counselling, whether it's clinical, or whether it's trauma work, or I think there'll always be a place for that. The biggest successes for me come from recovering communities and peer-to-peer support. That's where the magic happens. And if for me the pipe dream would be that we would have in Burnley now, for example, 15 years ago there was no recovering community. There was no NA meetings, there was no mutual aid meetings, there was nothing. Look at it now. So if you think about that in another 10, 15 years' time, where there's recovering communities supporting each other, the therapeutic value of each other, helping each other is for me, treatment services would only play a small part rather than playing the part in you get what I'm trying to say? I think the pipe dream for me is expanding that in terms of community and recovering communities, and treatment becoming a smaller part in that. Now, commissioners and other people might shoot me down for saying that, but that's my pipe dream. That's from me to you is what I aspire to.
Brilliant. That's absolutely fantastic. I'll hand you back over to Nina now. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, thanks for that, David. I absolutely agree with you as well on that, about recovering communities being at the centre of getting people well. Yeah, thank you. My final questions for you, funnily enough, relates to COVID-19. So in May, we spoke to Rachel Taylor, and in July we spoke to Andy Lane regarding how the services responded to COVID-19. Now we've got as far as October and we're still in a similar situation. How has the service responded and changed and evolved over that time, and how much more do you expect it to have to change?
So much has changed already in the last 6 months, dramatically so, in such a quick pace. It's been a challenging time for everyone. I think it has been unprecedented. It's something. It's a generational thing or multi-generational thing that happens, and I think as a service we've been propelled into a different way of working completely, and in a positive way, because the way that we're working now is in some respects with a balance of working digitally and working face to face. It's propelled us that little bit further on than we were working towards, much quicker. So I'm not saying digital will ever replace face to face. I don't believe it will, but I think it's got its place within the offer. So I think that's been the biggest change for us, adapting to that way of working. And I'm sure it's been an even bigger change for people who use our service. So we're all trying to adapt and change together in such challenging times. And I have to say, I'm so proud of everybody that's associated with Inspire, and in all of these challenges, it's always put the service user at the heart of everything. Always tried to do the right thing by people who use our services. Despite their own anxieties and fears as human beings and individuals, despite their thoughts and feelings around their children, their families, and their personal lives, they've come to work and they've tried to do what's right for people. That's amazing for me, and that includes you guys as well. So we've changed a lot. We're continuing to change. I think it's changing all the time, the guidance and everything else. And I think all we can keep doing is, without trying to predict the future, we're going to keep adapting. We'll keep listening to people, keep changing. I think the one thing that will never change for us is that we're here, ready to listen and ready to support. I think that's the fundamentals of who we are. I think that's the one thing that will remain the same.
Brilliant. Thank you for that, David. Now, COVID-19 has made us all take time out and give us a chance to reflect. So what new things have you learned about yourself whilst you've been locked down?
One of my, for those that don't know, I've got a hearing impairment, and I was born quite severely deaf, and I've had to adapt over the years. And going back to the original question before about one of my special talents, if you like, and I've had to really tune into my other senses. So what I mean by that is being able to read body language and non-verbal cues is something I've had to develop over the years. And so having that has always been a security blanket for me in the way that I communicate and form relationships with people. Since COVID's come along and not having that and having to work in this way has been a massive challenge for me, because sitting in a room with people and not being able to see the body language and not being able to really work out how they are and what they're feeling and what's going on has been a real big challenge. And I think what I've learned about myself, that I can adapt. I too can adapt to difficult situations and accepting that I might not have all the information to hand that I need, but I'll just do my best.
Yeah.
The other thing that I've learned is how important relationships are, of all kinds. I can quite easily become a man of solitude, if you like, and go and play golf every day and go fishing every day and be quite happy not to see people for a couple of days at maximum. But what I've realised is that I need the connection to people, and then not having that has made me realise how much I do need it, and it's given me the opportunity to really evaluate what's important. Family, loved ones, people that are important to us, and people that are close to me. I think if anything, that's what this pandemic has taught me, that it's the simple things and the not money, not prestige, it's all nice to have cars and houses and money. It's nice. It's a nice thing to have, but the most important thing is the relationships and the people that I care about.
Thank you for that. It's been lovely to speak to you. Have you any final words for our service users?
If you're in doubt, if you've got any pre-contemplation about beginning the journey, if you like, of moving away from using substances and moving towards recovery, ask yourself why. Challenge yourself. What is that about? Yes, it's scary. Yes, it's frightening. Yes, it's fearful. Yes, it's unknown. And it's an acknowledgement for me. It's a big thing to expect you to move away from something that might have helped you cope for how many years, that keeps you safe, that keeps you stable, that keeps you functioning. That's been a big part of your life for however many years or months or days or whatever. All I can say to you is that I was one of those people who had that doubt, and I asked myself the question of, do I want to stay where I am and the consequences doesn't bear thinking about, or do I want to try and give it a go and try and make something of my life? And I chose to do that. Was it easy? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It takes a lot of work. It's still hard work. But I can say without absolute doubt that living clean and sober is a million times better than being an addiction, without question, even on the toughest days. So all I can encourage you to do is reach out, be honest as you can, be willing to listen, which is important. I can't stress how much it is important to willing to listen, because I thought I had all the answers, I thought I knew everything, and I thought I knew best. Trying to be open-minded and listen to people's advice, direction and guidance really was a game changer for me. And give it your best shot. If it doesn't work, then try again. Keep trying. Keep doing it. You can achieve whatever you want to achieve, because fundamentally you're worth more than the way that you could be living now. And there's much better for you out there. There's much better life. There's much better to experience. And some of the things I've experienced and I never thought would be possible. I never thought would be possible. Not often I get emotional, but I can't stress that enough. I can't. Just give it a shot.
Thank you for that, David. Thank you for an absolutely beautifully honest interview. That was lovely. Thank you. Will, do you want to say anything before we go?
Just like to say, yeah, what a fantastic, honest interview it was, and really good hearing your story. Thank you very much, David.
Thanks, Will.
Thank you, Dave.